Few games have struck me quite as much as 2006's Prey. The game features a number of interesting and mind-bending mechanics, as well as fun weapons, interesting combat, and a compelling story, especially for a first-person shooter. Prey is another of those games that I remember enjoying so much when I played it through, but that no one I'd ever talked to had even played or heard of the game before. This seemed a real shame to me, so I decided to right that wrong and explore Prey with you, my beloved audience. So sit back, put on your comfy pants, and let's dive in. P.S. Spoilers, I guess, but dude, the game's like 15 years old, okay? Prey begins with you, the former US Army soldier and current mechanic named Tommy, giving himself a pep talk in the mirror about proposing to his girlfriend and leaving the Native American reservation where he currently lives. Tommy then goes and asks his girlfriend Jen to leave the reservation with him, which she and his grandfather Anisi protest. After a small spat between the two of you, two drunk patrons begin harassing Jen and you step in with your trusty wrench to end the confrontation. You beat two guys down with a wrench moments into this game. It's great. Moments later, strange noises and flickering lights give way to eerie green particle beams, and you, Anisi, Jen, and the entire bar are lifted up off the ground and caught up in a ray of blinding light. After the light fades, you see yourself, Jen, and Anisi strapped to some sort of alien transportation contraption and are hauled through parts of a horrifying interior of some kind of complex. The walls are covered with a fleshy, slimy veneer, and you are quickly separated from the rest of the survivors due to an explosion, and spend the rest of the game trying to rescue Anisi and Jen. Unfortunately, Anisi is quickly and brutally killed in front of you, and you are left alone, only your spirit guide to show you the way. As you progress through the game, you find portals leading to other rooms, hideous alien hybrids, and numerous hidden messages that reveal the truth about where you are. A ship called the Sphere. The Sphere is some sort of living alien spacecraft that travels from planet to planet, harvesting protein-rich worlds to feed the figure known as the Mother. The Mother and her drones are part of a cycle whereby they plant life on different planets and eventually return to gather the produce. You also find a small resistance group known as the Hidden, who are cybernetically enhanced humans seeking to destroy the Sphere and return to Earth. Eventually you catch up to Jen, who herself has been combined with some sort of reptile-like creature that attempts to kill you, forcing you to kill the creature and Jen along with it. After a fight with the Mother desperately asks you to take her place and gain all the powers that come with it, but you would have to continue harvesting worlds. Listening to your spirit guide, you decide instead to fly the Sphere into the sun and go to the land of the ancients to see Anisi and Jen. And that's it. That's a poor explanation of the plot of Prey. There are so many things I love about this game that this video could easily be an hour long. Since I don't want to bore you to death, we'll focus on three major things that the game does extremely well. First, Prey has a really interesting story with compelling characters. Everyone knows the trope of the silent or almost silent FPS hero, Master Chief, Gordon Freeman, Duke Nukem, and on and on and on and on forever. There's nothing wrong with limiting dialogue or leaving the main character somewhat featureless for most of these games, but the story is so much more interesting when they have personality. And Tommy, and the rest of the characters for that matter, have that in spades. Tommy's frustrated with his life and he wants change. He wants to respect his grandfather and the traditions of his people, but just can't bring himself to believe it. He's grossed out by the alien environment of the Sphere and has his mind blown by the bizarre physics of it all. His motivations and decisions all fit within his character and make sense. Tommy is a classic everyman hero who's thrust into an incredible situation and has to make really difficult choices. The supporting characters are really great as well. Anisi is wise and well respected and offers crucial guidance to Tommy through visions. When you watch him die, you can feel Tommy's distress over it. Jen is industrious and confident. She stands up for herself and believes in the traditions of her people. When you're faced with the difficult decision to fight and kill her, it truly is painful. The Mother is creepy and threatening, and her request that you take her place is honestly a tempting one, given all the power that you would be able to get, but the cost is just too high. Okay, so the story is great. What about the gameplay? Is it fun to play? Well, Prey is a really intricate game, especially for its time. The bar that you start the game in has actual interactive casino games. You can go up and deal cards. The guns move and wriggle when you hold them, and each of them has two firing modes to keep things interesting. And the game has challenging puzzles that you have to use your spirit walk mode to complete. But the best part about Prey is the crazy environments. This game absolutely blew my mind when I first played it. Prey features alternating gravity and portals depending on where you are in the terrain or in the different rooms. There are portals that sometimes are just projected up that are very obvious. You can see through them, you can shoot through them, you can walk through them, and they stay open most of the time so you can return back to where you came from. But also sometimes they're just hidden in crates. So you'll be walking along and find a box on the side and think, it's probably just a box. And then you crouch down and look inside and oh no, there's a whole room in there. Sometimes it's the same room that you're already in, but this way, if you go through it, you'll end up with gravity on the ceiling instead of on the floor where you currently are. Or you'll enter into it and it will put you down on a small planet-like thing, but now you are also just small. And the room that you're in is, a million times bigger than it was just a second ago. It's insane. It's so crazy. It's so fun to explore and to go through because you really just don't know what to expect. Prey also has a lot of gravitational shifts. Sometimes that comes in the form of like a pad that you shoot and it will change gravity to that direction. Or it has these walkways that you can walk on, and as long as you aren't knocked off of it or jump, you will stay standing on that walkway, which is really cool when you realize that you can walk along that pathway and shoot enemies from an angle that you wouldn't otherwise get to, but also kind of scary when you realize that the enemies can do that too, or they can just shut off the gravity to that walkway, leaving you to fall to your death. It also has a lot of force fields like you expect in any cool sci-fi game, and also traps, which is really kind of uncommon in a lot of games. There are lots of like tentacle traps that will smack you. There are these gross mouth-like things that will spit a bunch of gunk at you. It's really gross, but having the traps there helps to keep you focused and keep you on your toes while you're playing, and not just run from room to room to room killing everything. Although there is a fair amount of that too. I really can't stress enough how much I enjoy the crazy environmental shifts. Having those portals to go through, being able to crouch down and hide in a box that takes you to a whole different room, that's so cool, especially for a game of this era. Remember, this game came out in 2006. It's not like it's a recent invention. Finally, Prey is gross. I'm a huge fan of games that can actually get a sense of grossness across to the audience and the players, and Prey just nails it. The aliens are bony and slimy and disgustingly ferocious looking. The walls are wet and muscly with this gross like mucus over top of it. There are lots of tentacles and the mouths that I mentioned before that spit this nasty gross stuff out at you that does damage and just is disgusting. They oftentimes will spit out like old body parts or like remnants and pieces of material like trash cans and stuff from the bar that just scatter across the ground. Even the grenades that you have in the game squirm when you pull a leg off to throw it. It's so nasty. The whole place really feels like a protein factory designed to reduce life down to a paste and feed it to the mother, which is great. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Everything in it fits the environment perfectly, and the whole thing is just horrid. I love it. It's so great. It's like Dead Space, kind of, how there's just a lot of grossness there. Not only is it horrifying because of the circumstances you're in, but it's also horrifying because it's just nasty to think about. Ultimately, Prey is just a really fun game. The variety in the environments, the ability to walk through the portals and to shift gravity is such a cool feature, especially for a game of this time period, that I just love it. I tried forever to figure out how to buy it. I know there's some disagreement between Steam and 2K and whoever else has rights to this thing. If you want to get it, you can find it. I'll put a link in the description. I don't get paid for that, by the way. It's just, I think it's fun, and if you want to play it, it's like $4, so why not, you know? But Prey is just a really good game. It's got a nice, solid story. It's really interesting to play through, and it has characters that are well crafted. Video games don't have to be bland as far as characters go or stories go. They can be interesting. And one of the things I love most about games from this era is that they try to make an interesting story sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes they try to have a really good story with really interesting characters, and they try to do it in a way that's unique and different and creative, rather than capitalize on making the most money they possibly can. Anyway, this is just me like gushing about how much I like this game. I think it's so much fun. The ability to go through the portals is really something that I enjoy a lot. I'm a big fan of the Portal games, obviously, but this game does it in a way that it's not really in your control, but it doesn't just put you from room to room, it also will shift the gravity or make you larger or smaller, put you in into different circumstances. It's super fun, really, really enjoyable. So if you're looking for a game to play and kill a couple of hours, go ahead and check Prey out. Otherwise, I've been just some guy on the internet. My opinion is just that. It's an opinion. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm happy to argue about it. These things are all really dumb anyway. So I just enjoy this game a lot, and I don't know a lot of people who played it. So if you like this video, please subscribe and check back for more videos soon.